And welcome to the Tony Scott Internet Show. It's Tuesday. I, of course, would be Tony Scott. We went down this road before already. But hey, welcome to Tuesday, man. What's going on? How's your world? Good? Monday good? A lot of people don't like Mondays. I spoke about that yesterday. Some people get the Monday morning blahs. Mondays never bothered me. Mostly because on Mondays, I never really schedule a lot to do on Mondays or Fridays. Right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can work me to the bone. But Mondays and Fridays, not so much. I've always been that way. I don't know why. Maybe that's why I don't dread Mondays, because I don't make it too heavy. Coming up on this show, the latest on Ferguson. There's a lot to tell you. Also, the Secret Service is catching hell for fumbling the ball. I got tech news. You may it's not going to be over your head. Real simple tech news. All right. Monday Night Football last night. Tell you about that. Cardinals got some start times for their playoff game in Los Angeles beginning Friday night. And some celebrity news, too. Ciara does what most women will not do. I'll tell you about that. I don't know if you've heard about the ACLU is challenging the 5-second protest rule in Ferguson. Now, the ACLU says it's a violation of the First Amendment. In fact, that rule's not even in the First Amendment, anywhere in the First Amendment. But the rule is kind of like this. If protesters are in one place for more than 5 seconds, they'll be arrested. I mean, you get 3 seconds in the paint in NBA basketball. In basketball, you get 3 seconds in the paint, right? 5 seconds, you stand still in one spot for 5 seconds, you could be arrested. Now, some cops enforce it, some do not, which really adds to the confusion. You know what I'm saying? That's a stupid law. It's designed, well, we don't know what it's designed for. If there was protests going on outside a building for something that has nothing to do with the murder of Michael Brown, then they wouldn't be enforcing that 5-second rule at all. You know that. We already know that, you know. Some other stuff to come out since, there was some protests on Sunday night. It got a little hot. You know, Saturday night that officer got shot, but Sunday night there was some protests going on. Some people were arrested. Some officers did not have their name tags on. They're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to wear their name tags. The Department of Justice told police officers you have to wear your name tags. Is there not a price to pay for that? Is there? Can you be docked a day's pay for that? For that night, you didn't have your name badge on, then you don't get paid for that day? Can you do that, or do you run into union problems? Is there a suspension? What's the price to pay for breaking that rule? Because if there's no price to pay, then it's a waste of time to even have that kind of rule. But that needs to be done, though, that we need to have that. You have to wear your name badge. You know, if you ask me for my ID, I have a right to know who you are. That's the way I see it. You know, and I told you about the cop on Saturday that was shot, that he didn't have his body camera turned on. Nobody will answer the question as to why. They need to figure out a way, if they're going to use the body cameras, that cops cannot turn them off. They have to be turned off by remote or something. I mean, you just can't. I mean, because if that's the case, they're not going to turn those cameras on. There's always going to be something wrong with those cameras. They're never going to be on. Come on, man. The fix is already in on that. And here's the thing I was thinking about today. If you're a cop that despises African Americans so much, why would you be a cop in a city that's 67% black? Does that make sense? I mean, if you don't like black folks, why be a cop in a town that's 67% African American? Why would you do that? It looks like you took the job to be able to harass African Americans, and that's putting it in mind. Like you're in the Ku Klux Klan. Not the Ku Klux Klan, but the Ku Klux Klan. You know what I'm saying? That just makes no sense at all. Now, speaking of the Ku Klux Klan, the grand jury has a second case on Officer Darren Wilson. Did you hear about this? A judge approved yesterday a request by prosecutors in a case that involved a drug suspect arrested in 2013 by Officer Darren Wilson. The man's attorney wants the drug distribution charge dismissed because he doesn't expect Darren Wilson to show up in court for the hearing. Don't you have a right to face your accuser? That's basic law, right? They teach us that in school. This is the case where Darren Wilson received an accommodation from Ferguson City Council for his role in the arrest of a man named Christopher Brooks. But the man's attorney says that Christopher Brooks was roughed up by Officer Darren Wilson, and also questioned whether, what he did merited any special recognition. I don't know. That's just, the city of Ferguson is a mess. I don't know if you heard, but, the State Sunshine Act is where you can request certain documents under the Freedom of Information Act, right? It's kind of like the state's version of it. And what the city of Ferguson is doing, and they're not the only city that's ever done this, but apparently they're gouging people who are making this request. I mean, they're charging more than some of their city employees actually make, right? Somebody wanted, I think the Associated Press wanted a document and they were going to charge them $130 just to, copy and paste and print. And there's no law that regulates that. Okay, so write that one down too. We need a law for that. That has to change. That should be a state law at the very least. And apparently it's a popular tactic cities use to discourage requests for information that may in fact embarrass the city. Again, Ferguson is not the only city to have done this. Lots of cities do this. And it's surprising that when they passed the Sunshine Act or the Freedom of Information Act, they didn't put that little nugget in there. I mean, can you charge? Yeah, you can charge, but you have to have, you have to be reasonable. You can't be gouging people. That's not cool at all. That's just wrong. Man. I was watching television the other night when Captain Johnson was on for the Missouri Highway Patrol, and he told people, I need you guys out of the street. And you could hear a voice in the background screaming, these are streets. Now, you know what? No, they're not. No, they're not. I mean, I get what you're saying, but you know what? When the police are out there, it's their streets, and you can be disobedient if you want to. I mean, that's fine. That's your right to do that. I'm not criticizing for that, but let's keep everything in perspective, okay? And it's easy for me to say that, well, you don't know how the city of Ferguson is acting, but that doesn't make it right for you to be an ass. Don't be an ass. I mean, be as passionate and as vocal as you want to be. Protest every day if you want to. That's your right, and I am totally for that. But let's keep our eye on the ball, I guess is my point. You know who's not keeping their eye on the ball is the Secret Service. Well, what is up with that? About 2 weeks ago, I know you heard about 42-year-old Omar Gonzalez. He jumped the White House fence and apparently got a lot further than the Secret Service first let on. Are you aware of this? It seems that Omar Gonzalez ran through much of the main floor, past an alarm that did not work properly. He apparently ran 70 yards across the lawn, went through the front door. Now, there's where the Secret Service originally said they got him, at the North Portico doors. But that was not true. He ran past the staircase that leads to the residence. Now, supposedly, all this happened minutes after President Obama and his daughters, and a friend of one of his daughters, got on Marine One for Camp David. Julia Pearson, who is the director of the Secret Service, and she's been in charge for about a year and a half. She's been with Secret Service for about 30 years. She's on the hot seat, man. She's going to be in front of Congress today. And it looks like it's pretty bad. You remember 2011, that other man who fired bullets at the White House while the younger daughter and President Obama's mother-in-law were in the White House. The president and Michelle Obama were in San Diego, and the older daughter was on her way back and expected any minute. And it was first, one of the agents said when the shots were fired, that's just a truck backfiring, everybody stand down. That's not gunfire, it's a truck. And it was gunfire. And it was a housekeeper who discovered the bullets. It was a housekeeper. She was cleaning up the patio or something, and she saw glass. And so she tells everybody, and it wasn't the Secret Service who told the Obamas about that situation 3 years ago. It was a White House usher who did that. And supposedly the Obamas were furious about that, and I can't blame them. What the hell's going on around there? My understanding is that the latest one that happened with Omar Gonzalez, that he overpowered a female agent in the White House. Well, maybe we can't have to me, if you're going to be guarding the president and you're at the White House, you're the last layer of protection for the president. So you have to be, like a super ninja. You have to be able to take all comers, man. Maybe training, retraining, testing. This has to go on 2-3 times a year. This needs to happen. We have to have our top-notch people in the White House. You're the last layer, man. You're the last layer of defense for the president when he's at home. This is crazy. What the hell is going on there, man? I'm not real sure, to be quite honest with you. Monday Night Football last night, Kansas City hosted the New England Patriots, and Kansas City spanked the Patriots something awful, 41-14. Who expected that? I mean, I know the Chiefs are much better than they were a couple of years ago. They were pretty good last year. But to spank the Patriots like that, man, 41-14. Cardinals, it's been announced, the Cardinals start the playoffs on Friday. They'll start in Los Angeles and play the Dodgers at 5:37 our time. That'll be on Fox Sports 1. And then Saturday night, they'll play at 8:37 our time, and I believe that'll be on the MLB network. So there you go. Speaking of sports and athletes and stuff like that, I saw Celebrity Crime Files last night on TV1. Did you see that? They featured Darrell Henley, who played for the L.A. Rams for a while, defensive back, and he got caught up with, drugs, trafficking cocaine, and then he attempted to murder the judge and a witness from his trial by hiring contract killers. He won't be out till 2032. He'll be about 65 years old. Man, and then Sam Hurd. We all heard about Sam Hurd, played for the Dallas Cowboys, and then he went to the Chicago Bears. And I guess Sam Hurd was living a double life. And Sam Hurd apparently fancied himself some sort of drug dealer. He's doing 15 years right now in Texas for buying and selling coke and weed. I don't understand somebody like that. You've just been handed. The talents that God gave you have afforded you a life-changing opportunity where you will be able to be set for life. So by the time you're in your mid-30s, let's say, money will no longer be an object. You will be able, if you're smart, you will be able to set yourself up, your children up, and possibly your grandchildren up to have every opportunity that money can buy. Not a lifestyle, but an opportunity for them to go to the best schools, get the best education, things like that. Have doors open for them because of what they're taught. And you pissed it all away. I mean, you just pissed it all away. You just said, the hell with it. You couldn't get out of your own way. I guarantee you, and I'm not just saying this to be bragging, but if I just made $1 million, I could make that last the rest of my life. And I bet you could too. You over there, probably not so much, but you probably could. I mean, man, you're given this opportunity and you decide you want to be a drug dealer too? Man, that's crazy. I got tech news coming up, celebrity news. I got some stupid news coming up too. Did you see Aretha on Letterman last night? Ooh, got to tell you about that coming up on the Tony Scott Internet Show.
Do you want to reach an audience that you haven't tapped into yet and not blow your budget? The Tony Scott Internet Show is new, growing, and available to you. Advertising on the Tony Scott Internet Show is extremely affordable. Contact us at advertise@TonyScottShow.com.
All right, we are back. The Tony Scott Internet Show. If you get a chance to check out our Men on Scandal review, myself and I, and Mark Clark, him and himself, and Troy Johnson, him and himself. We do a show that recaps Scandal, every episode from a man's perspective. We did the first one last week, of course, after the premiere episode of season 4. You can see it. Just go to menonscandal.com and you'll see it right there. Right. Aretha Franklin last night was on Letterman to promote her latest album of songs by female singers. She sang Adele's song, Rollin' in the Deep. And I thought she started out a little rough, a little pitchy. I thought, that's just me. But that gown, though, good Lord, we need an intervention. We need an intervention. No. She's notorious for loving to have the girls out like that, and girls can't be out like that, and neither can her arms. Can't have her arms out anymore either. I mean, come on, I'm just keeping it real. I want Aretha to look her best at all times, and I'm just being honest. She looked a hot mess last night. That gown just did not work. I mean, I thought it was going to fall, which would have been tragic for everybody on so many different levels. I'm just keeping it real. I'm going to see if I can find the video and then put it up on Talking360.com for you to check out. Hey, tonight on Law & Order SVU, they're going to tackle the Ray Rice, they're ripped straight from the headlines, their plots. Ray Rice, the Solange Jay-Z elevator thing, and Donald Sterling scandals are apparently all going to be in one episode tonight on Law & Order SVU. Did you hear about Walmart? They say the cause of Tracy Morgan's injuries wasn't because of one of their drivers being behind the wheel with no sleep for over 24 hours, but because Tracy wasn't wearing a seatbelt. That's what they say caused the accident. That's their defense. Now, originally, they said that they would accept full responsibility. And apparently they've changed their mind, which is their right to do. Doesn't really do much for their image. They also say that the driver was employed by a third party and not by them. Okay, but who hired the third party? I'm sorry, what was that again? Who was that again? I'm sorry, I missed that. What was that? Can you say that louder, please? You did, Walmart. Come on, man. Y'all said y'all were going to take responsibility for that. Have you heard about Ciara? You know, her and Future broke up, right? I remember when she was on TV crying about how much he meant to her. You know? Maybe she was emotional at the time because she was pregnant. Let's be honest. Pregnant women are very emotional beings, you know? But apparently they broke up. Supposedly they had got back together, but I guess they haven't. He had given her a $500,000 ring when they got engaged in October of last year. But they broke up in August. Cheating allegations surfaced against Future. And it's just going to be her and Future Jr. Is he really Future Jr.? Anyway, she gave back the engagement ring, a $500,000 ring. Would you have done that? No, you wouldn't have done that, huh? A $500,000 ring? Well, maybe, I don't know how much money Ciara has, but maybe in her world, that's not a big deal. I don't know. But to me, I've always felt like if I give somebody, a woman, an engagement ring and we break up, I don't want the ring back because I gave it to them as a gift. It was a promise. You took it and you agreed, by accepting it, you agreed to the promise of marriage. And you can make an argument that you should give the ring back. Most women, I would say, probably would not give it back. Maybe I'm generalizing. Maybe I'm wrong. But when I used to ask this question on my radio show, women would say, hell no, I ain't giving that ring back. to a woman, they would all say, no, I'm not giving you that ring back. I'm not giving that ring back. That's mine. No, And we broke up because you messed up and you want me to give the ring back? No. And I see the logic in that. I got no problem with that. I'm just saying, as a man, I wouldn't want the ring back. You know? And if we couldn't agree on something like that and we had a child, maybe we'd sell the ring and set up a college fund with the money for the child, I guess. I don't know. I just wouldn't want the ring back. I just wouldn't want to do that. But Michael Strahan is going to play a stripper in the Magic Mike sequel, according to TMZ. He'll be topless, but they're negotiating anything below the waist, like a G-string or, you know, things like that. I mean, we're not going to see full frontal nudity because that changes the whole dynamic of what the movie will be rated. You know, it's rated R and not X. No full frontal is what the word is from one of the production people. But he is in talks. He'll take his top off and he'll be dancing. Michael's what, about 6'5", 6'6", something like that? I mean, he's a tall, big fella, right? Is Michael sexy? Michael Strahan, is he sexy? I mean, everybody talks about the gap, and he acknowledges the gap, and he embraces his gap. I've always hated mine, but he embraces his. But I mean, ladies, is he a sexy man, Michael Strahan? I mean, would he be just as sexy if he didn't have the money he has? I don't know. That's something to think about. Michael Jackson's Thriller is going to be released in 3D next year. Jonathan Landis is planning to release it in 3D. He's been battling the Jackson estate over money he was allegedly owed for his work on the Thriller video, but they reached a confidential settlement a couple years ago. So now that that's over with, he's going to revamp the music video, re-release it next year. He's in talks with movie theaters and to release it on DVD. He says the lawsuit went on for lots of years, but we settled and they paid me finally. So something's going to happen with Thriller, and we're going to put it out in 3D. So there you go. J-Lo and Leah Remini were in J-Lo's new car, and a drunk driver rear-ended them. What? And they decided to take a selfie and it's posted, or we'll get it up on talking360.com. Two beautiful women, don't get me wrong, but apparently J-Lo cussed the driver out as he drove away. It was a hit and run, and it was a new car on the PCH in Malibu. They stopped at a light when a driver in a small pickup truck hit them and took off, but she cursed them out, cursed the driver out. One of them called 911 to describe the driver and the vehicle, but all is said to be okay. Chris Brown. TMZ is saying that Chris Brown is apparently so affiliated with the Bloods, the gang, that his mom and his girlfriend are becoming increasingly concerned about this. TMZ says multiple sources claim that Chris's mom, and I never know how to say his girlfriend's name, Karushi, I don't know, his girlfriend. They're so worried that they approached a therapist about this. Now, I don't know if it's his therapist, because I know he goes to therapy two times a week. But they're worried that he's putting himself in a position that he may not be able to, survive, both literally and figuratively when you're talking about his career. They don't think he understands the implications of associating himself with the Bloods. According to TMZ, he thinks it's cool, but the family's worried he's in real danger, and he don't have a clue. They literally think Chris's life is on the line. If that's true, you can't say you really blame them at all, can you? That's just, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's some things that, you really can't talk about too much because you're like, God, that seems fairly obvious, doesn't it? It seems fairly obvious that, you're a superstar and being affiliated with the Blood, and, you're on stage performing and you're out there. A lot of times you're out there by yourself. Or you're up front, you become an easy target. So why would you put yourself out there like that? Why would you do that? But I don't know. I'm not in his head. I know there's lots of room in there, but I'm not in his head. Malik Grissom was shot and rushed to a hospital in Pittsburgh a couple of years ago. And when that happened, his stepfather, the Reverend Earl Baldwin, rushed to his side. And as it turns out, the Reverend apparently tased him. He was trying to pray over his dead stepson, and he was tased. They pulled him off of his son, and they used a taser on him. We're not training police officers as thoroughly as we should, huh? And I guess part of it, I don't know if there's blame to put on there, but we live in a different world now. We live in a world where different equations and different circumstances that have never really ever happened before are happening. And I don't know if we're teaching, and I don't know that we can teach them every situation. I don't think we can, but there are clearly signs that you have to look for. I'm not an expert in these things, but it just seems, some of the stuff seems like it's fairly common sense. That if a man is on his son, literally laying across him, praying for his life, praying for his soul, his spirit, then why would you forcibly remove him and then tase him? He obviously is no threat. Well, you know what it is he's black. And they fear him just for that simple reason. That has to be what it is. It has to be that. I mean, what else could it be? Looking at some of the comments on social media, I'm not surprised. Ooh, I hate it when people say that. I hate it when people, I'm not surprised. Well, damn it, you're the problem. You know what? You're part of the problem. When you say I'm not surprised, you are part of the problem. I'm just being honest with you. That's really how I feel. You are part of the problem. I've got some crazy news coming up, including a man who was welcomed to the HIV club I got to tell you about, and some tech news coming up next on the Tony Scott Internet Show.
Do you want to reach an audience that you haven't tapped into yet and not blow your budget? The Tony Scott Internet Show is new, growing, and available to you. Advertising on the Tony Scott Internet Show is extremely affordable. Contact us at advertise@TonyScottShow.com.
We are back on the Tony Scott Internet Show. Advertising opportunities are not as expensive as you think. Hit me up at advertise@TonyScottShow.com, as the young man just said. and we'd be happy to take your advertising and give you a really good deal. Some tech news now, simple tech news, nothing about, RAM and audio bus and things like that. I'm talking about just simple stuff we can all understand, because I love tech, but I'm not a geek. I couldn't build a computer. I can't do stuff like that, but I do like tech news. And the big talk about the new iPhone 6 Plus has been about how bendy it is. Have you been seeing this? And people have actually been going in stores, picking up an iPhone 6 and bending it with their hands and damaging the phone in some cases because they're bending it, more than a normal person would. And the experts have weighed in on this and say that criticism about the iPhone 6 Plus bending is highly unscientific. Consumer Reports, they did a 3-point test to see what all the bendy talk was about, and it passed with flying colors. According to the test, the iPhone 6 Plus didn't start to deform until 90 pounds of pressure was applied. You know how much pressure that is? That's a lot of pressure. That's more than what a normal phone would get. It comes apart with 110 pounds of force. But everything's going to bend with that kind of pressure. So I don't think there's anything really to be concerned about. Unless you're going to put half of it under your foot and then try and pry it in half, then you're asking for trouble. But why would you do that anyway? And if you're getting the iPhone 6, AT&T is offering this deal where they'll double your data. This is for iPhone 6 customers, 6 and 6 Plus. So if you have like 15 gigs of data in your plan, then you'll get 30, and that goes all the way up to 50 gigs. So if you signed up for 15 gigs of data a month, which is usually more than enough for most of us, now you'll get, like I said, 30 gigs a month. And sign up by the end of October, and the data plan will never expire. That's what they mouths say. But you should know that AT&T said that about unlimited data plans in the past, and that really was not the case. You know what was really cool was what Coca-Cola is doing in South Africa. They're going to put free Wi-Fi inside their vending machines, and they're going to put those vending machines in areas where there really isn't internet access or where it's not affordable. And you don't even have to buy a Coke to get access. Just be in that area and you'll get free access, Wi-Fi access. They're going to put it in your schools and shopping centers. I think that's a great idea. Props off to Coca-Cola. I'm not soda guy, but I'm very happy about that. I think that's great news. I do. You want to hear something ridiculous? This happened in Seattle, where a man outside a bar was walking with his girlfriend, and he was stabbed with a syringe and told, "Welcome to the HIV club." Told this by the woman who stabbed him, a white woman in her late 20s with shoulder-length, dirty blonde hair. She was walking with a man about the same age who was wearing a baseball cap. They walked by the victim and his girlfriend, and the victim felt a sharp prick and stabbing puncture to his left tricep. The woman made the HIV comment while looking directly at him. The man saw blood from where the syringe had penetrated his arm, and then he was shocked. He was traumatized. He was paralyzed by the horror of what just happened to him. Nobody could find the girlfriend or the man that she was walking with. His girlfriend, the man who was punctured with the needle, his girlfriend says, "I heard the comment about HIV. They believe it was unprovoked. He was treated at a hospital, but they don't know if he's been infected or not. It's way too soon, I think, to tell." Seattle police says, "We've never heard of anything like that happening around here. Hopefully it's an isolated incident." They checked the area for surveillance cameras, but the owners all says that those surveillance cameras don't work. How can you have like a bunch of surveillance cameras in an area and none of them work? So they have no idea who this person may have been. They're hoping it was someone with a poor sense of humor trying to scare someone. And hopefully that was not a syringe with HIV-tainted blood. That's what they're hoping for. I think everybody's hoping for that. How do you get where that's funny on any level at all, though? Really, how do you feel that that's funny on any level at all? You've lost your damn mind. I mean, that's like attempted murder, is it not? I mean, you're infecting someone who could very well die from HIV, not HIV, but if it goes into full blown AIDS, then and maybe I'm being paranoid. Maybe I don't know enough about the subject. I'm not saying they're going to die from HIV, but they may, if it turns into AIDS. I don't know. I mean, if you aim a gun, a water gun or something like that, a toy pistol at somebody and fired at them, and they drop dead of a heart attack, you'll get charged with their murder, won't you? What is wrong with people? I mean, I just have to say, what the hell's wrong with people? I don't know. I just don't know about people anymore. I'm confused. I'm stumped. And I'm going to leave it right there. We're about the half-hour mark. Man, it goes by fast. I really appreciate you listening to my internet show. It's just 30 minutes long, and you can listen to it whenever you want. Download it. You can listen to it, right off your computer if you want to. You can download it, put it on your smartphone, or whatever you want to do. And I appreciate you doing that. And if you can share it, man, that helps a whole lot. It really does. And I would appreciate that too. All right. Thanks again so much for listening. You can sign up for my newsletter on talking360.com. That's free to do also. All right. Appreciate you as always, man. Had a great time with you today. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you tomorrow.